Mm-hmm.
So the fans have been waiting.
Uh-oh.
And we want to hear it. The top 5 greatest. Fire up the phone. Top 5 greatest Pro 2 drivers.
Okay. I got it. I just want to have a disclaimer. I just want people to know when you say this is how analytical I am about things. Where when you say the word greatest, it drives my list this direction. If you say the word best, it's a different list. I mean, I took the time to write this down because this is the amount of effort I put into thinking about this for you and you, right? So you guys always say the word greatest. So that to me means greatest is overall accomplishments and like legendary status.
Absolutely.
Greatest.
Absolutely.
That doesn't necessarily mean who is going to win the race if you pit everybody against each other.
Yes, that's the way we've agreed on the stats, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, greatest, through all eras, and it's impossible. Which is this is what I love about these lists and stuff. It's impossible to pit these guys from different eras against each other and stuff. So, but I have best, greatest, and favorite.
Okay.
Is kind of the 3 different, whatever. So when you say greatest, it's accomplished and stats and like legendary and the weight of what they've done. So when you say the weight of what they've done,
yep,
that means I value the older school guys more than the new school guys. If somebody has equal championships or stats or whatever, then I value the guys that I remember watching when I was younger, because I know if there wasn't Walker and Jack, then there would be no Johnny and Ricky, and there'd be no CJ and Kyle. Right?
In theory, yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have these great rivalries.
So before you get ahead of a bunch of questions here, what is the top 5 greatest?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Pro 2.
Okay, so you have to define what a Pro 2 means, because I know my list. I'm very confident in my list.
You are.
I remember Class 8.
Yes.
And Class 8 and Pro 2. And so when you say Pro 2 versus Class 8, it's a distinction. And to me, a Pro 2, a modern Pro 2 started in 2004 when they made the standardized chassis. That's a Pro 2 chassis.
Okay.
But that's not fair to Scott Taylor, who is the number one, Scott Taylor, no matter how you fucking cook it. Okay. So I'll do my list without swearing here, so that way you can post it.
You can swear. It's all right. We're on YouTube.
But it's to me, the way you look at it is, to be fair, Scott Taylor had to have won 10 championships in Class 8 and Pro 2 combined, but mostly Pro 2. It was called Pro 2. So like in 1998, that was the first year of Pro 2. Before that was Class 8. So there's like a distinction there, right? But
so do you break this in your list? Do you break this up between Class 8?
I'm just trying to, I'll go by anybody's terms, but you can't deny Scott Taylor.
Absolutely.
I've seen people leave Scott Taylor off of their list, and I feel bad that that anybody, like, he should be number 1 or 2 at the worst in anybody's list. But the only way you can justify it is if you say a modern Pro 2 has the standardized frame rails, and Scott did all of his damage before that.
Well, I think too, maybe it's just people don't know the history as much.
Yeah. So
I'm guilty of that.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is where I come in.
Yeah, that's where we got you.
So Scott Taylor won.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure Scott Taylor won 6 championships in a row between Class 8 and Pro 2, like 1998 to 2004. I think he won 6 championships in a row there. He won more before that, and I don't even know the numbers. He beat Walker Evans. He beat Jack Flannery. Scott Taylor was one of the number 1 like game-changing drivers. And forget about all the engineering and all the what he did like truck-wise and chassis-wise and stuff like that. But like how you drive a truck and his understanding of lines and tracks and dirt and stuff like that. Like he's like Taylor to me is easily number 1. But the way that you can justify not putting it in your list at all is by saying if you start it as what a modern true Pro 2 is with the standardized frame rails, you can hold them over here to the side as a legend and just say he was just great, and he's so great. Like Walker Evans is so great, you know. You don't count Walker Evans as a great Pro 2 driver. He never raced Pro 2. He raced Class 8.
Okay.
It's very hard for me to do that because I Walker Evans was dominant in the big Dodge in the Class 8, and it was always Walker and Scott Taylor.
Yeah.
But Walker Evans never raced Pro 2. So this is kind of how I go about that.
So you got
I can give you a list that you can post if you want.
yeah, that's what we're looking for.
I know that's what you're looking for. Should I rattle through it quick?
Yeah.
Okay. So Pro 2 top 5. No matter how you look at the list, Scott Taylor, number 1.
Okay.
No matter how you break it down, Scott Taylor, number 1.
Okay.
Number 2, I've got Rob McCachran.
Okay.
For as far as a modern Pro 2 with all the standardized frame rails and everything else, I think it's easily Rob McCachran. I think those 2 are your only choices for number 1 and 2. I might surprise some people down the line here a little bit, but 3, I'm going to go Bryce Menzies. And Bryce...
In Pro 2.
In Pro 2.
Okay.
Bryce showed up as a rookie, won a championship with a big motor Pro 2 against Rob McCachran, won the championship his first year. I don't know if he won 3 in a row. I'm pretty sure he won 3 total, but in Lucas, he was against all the best guys, you know. So you have to give him credit for that. 4, I'm going to go Ricky Johnson. And Ricky, there's more people that have more championships and compilation of stats and stuff like that, but Ricky's impact for the years that he raced versus the success that he had,
Yeah.
and the impact that he made on driving and how you strategically raced, and he did it in different eras. He showed up in 1998 and he won his first year. And then he disappeared for years. And then he showed up again in, I don't know, 2008, 2009, 2007. And he started winning again instantly. And he's just hyper aggressive and like the way he attacked, and he was like so strategic, and like the way he looked at like how to win and how to affect races was totally different. Like caught people off guard. Number 5, I'm gonna go Carl Rennesetter. And Carl did both Pro 4 or Pro 2 at the same time. So that's what gives him the edge, because to be a true guy who does both is super duper rare.
So did that evaluate in your
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what puts Carl. There's, I'm pretty sure Carl won 3 championships, and I think there's a handful of guys that won 3, but he did both the whole time, and he was a really close contender every single time. So he got second a bunch of times.
Yeah.
He got first a bunch of times, but he did it second, first, third, whatever, in both a bunch of times. And the people that he raced against. And so like when Core was building, and then when Core got to its peak, and then Lucas and the competition he raced against, it's Carl.
Okay.
You know my alternate? I might shock people here. I don't think I will. Is Jarrett Brooks.
All right.
Jarrett showed up out of nowhere from Pro Light. Showed up with you guys have no idea. Like the credit, you have to weigh more credit on the big motor trucks in Pro 2. And Jarrett showed up and started winning with the big motor against the best. And then he won, I think he won 2 championships. And then he had a couple different trucks, a couple different crew chiefs or truck builders. And then he came over, one out west, one here, 410 motors and open motors.
So,
It's a solid list.
yeah, I can't argue much on it.
And totally no totally no disrespect, but Keegan would be definitely like right there. And I feel bad that he's not there to me, but
What do you think? What do you think will push him onto that list?
it's hard because he just won another one. So I think to me that's 3. I think he won 3.
Is it
I have no idea how many cup races he's won.
is it more of a like you grew up with him in that era?
It's
That it's harder to
it's recency bias versus old school because Jarrett's newer, but I give more credit to the guys who won with the big motors
yeah.
against those other guys. Like when Rob was racing and Bryce was racing and even Brian Deegan is on my list also. Deegan was a fucking animal.
Yeah.
And then Jarrett showed up and beat all of those guys. That it's hard, it's a lot. I just put more weight to the big motor guys. What makes a Pro 4? What is a Pro 4? When did Pro 4 start?
Has 4 tires.
That spin.
That's what a buggy has.
100 power.
Okay.
So where is your classification?
Here's
Because
these.
I'm sure there's like a class 11, 12, 6, 17.
I have moments. So
Okay.
a really big flag is in 1998 is when Core started. And that was when pro racing
Okay.
really became like distinctive, right? And a lot of people now don't even remember it, like know what that even is, which is insane. But so that's like that's like a point in time. 98 was a big deal. What a Pro 4 is as a race car means an unlimited vehicle with A-arm front suspension. Because there was a point between in the 90s, there was straight axle front end, there was I-beam front end, 4-wheel drive. And then I think Flannery's were the first ones with the Chevys to have A-arm front suspension, which would have been about 94. So you start it there. The problem with Pro 4 to me is there's there's all these guys who bridge this huge gap of time of being super old school, bouncing through the woods, to modern Pro 4s. So the list, I wrote this down. So Kurt Leduc, Scott Douglas, Rob McCachran, Jack Flannery have all raced crazy front end suspension, weird Pro 4-wheel drive trucks.
Okay.
And back then the Class 8s were faster than the Pro 4s. And then they eventually developed this technology where they all had A-arm at front ends with CVs, which that's what a modern Pro 4 is.
Were they faster because of failures, or were they faster because of?
They were faster because I don't know why. I don't know why they were faster. I think it's because of the way the tracks were, how rough they were, and the way they drove.
Okay.
The way they drove, because like the backing it in thing.
Yeah.
The whipping it in and just backing it into a corner thing only works on a at least relatively flat racetrack. And Jamie Flannery was the one who really like pioneered. And I totally just heard the story about this like recently, and that happened because he didn't have brakes. He lost brakes, so he just said "fuck it," and he just like threw it into a corner.
And then it worked.
And he just sent it in there, and he was way faster than he was when he was with brakes. So then they just all started driving that way. But that was about the time that they all started having A-arm front ends with CVs, which is to this day, what a modern Pro 4 is. And they all had automatic transmissions for a long time until mid-2000s. And that's when they all started doing stick shifts. Like Huseman, Rod Millen might have been one of the first ones. I don't really know all of the development there, but like I know that Huseman was like famous for that because Kyle Leduc said he was like so jealous that he found out when he first drove one. He was like, "Oh man, Rick has this technology and I didn't have it," you know. So it's really hard to gauge some of these older guys. So like Kurt Leduc, Scott Douglas, Jack Flannery, even McCachran, like drove an I-beam crazy looking front end truck. And it's hard to, you can't leave them out because what they did was build this whole sport that whole time. And then like Jeff Dorr is important because he was the one who got cut off. He was a champion. He raced in the 70s. And he came the whole way, and he never raced an A-arm truck, and he beat he won a championship, beat all of these guys, and then he was like, okay, I'm done, So I wanted to at least mention him, but that's kind of my cutoff. But like, it's really really hard. Pro 4 is harder for me because of what all these old guys did. But as a Pro 4 top 5 list, no matter how I look at it.
Okay, Pro 4, top 5.
Pro 4 top 5. Number 1, Johnny Greaves. My list. Don't hate. It's my list. And to me, you just can't take it away. Like just what he's done for driving and what a Pro 4 sounds like and looks like and handles and everything he's done for the sport, and being CJ's dad counts. So everything CJ does elevates Johnny to me.
Okay.
That helps.
So who's number 2 then?
Number 2, Kyle Leduc.
Okay.
Losing Kyle hurt everybody a lot. So Kyle was an animal, and he was just like this crazed, like he was probably the most creative. When he was at his best, nobody could beat Kyle.
Yeah.
And he was just, you never knew what was going to happen. So you had to watch him all the time, every lap. You didn't know, what he was going to pull out next. He was just so creative and attacked the track so hard. Number 3 is Rob McCachran for me. And the only reason Rob isn't higher is because of the gaps that he has, where he went Pro 4 and then went Pro 2 and went desert racing or whatever. But you can't rob and put him lower because he's the only one who won so many races that they changed the rules and told him he can't race anymore, and told him he can't race his truck anymore.
When they make rules for you, it's a sign.
And I mean, if you look back at the like early 2000s and go in the barn and just look at all the pictures, and there's like a bunch of him in a row winning all these cup races. And there isn't a single driver in the sport that doesn't respect Rob. 4, I'm going to go CJ. I have to give CJ some flowers, and all of the winning and all of the championships and cup races, I'm sorry you're 4th. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry you're not higher, but you have to give him credit. So somewhere you have to let him climb the list. What does CJ have to do to get higher? I don't know.
That's the question I was going to ask.
I have such a hard bias for the older guys.
I don't know. Does he just have to get 10 years older?
Does he have to win 40 championships? I don't know. CJ, the knock on CJ is the people that he's raced against in these last 10 to 11 years. And I don't really care about that because he can't control who he races against. And
but he's raced against Rob Mack. He's raced against.
I mean, Kyle. I think Kyle beat him once, right? And he won the other 10.
Yeah.
And he didn't race against Kyle. Whatever. But I don't know. And maybe CJ is so good that he makes the competition look like that.
Yeah,
does anybody ever say that?
It's possible.
Is CJ so good that he makes the races look boring? I think he is. If you would have asked me the question, who would win in a race between all of these guys, I think CJ could win the race. It's just it's really hard to me to let go. It's like telling a kid that Santa Claus isn't real and saying these old guys aren't the best. Right?
You just told all these kids.
I think that is the best analogy that you can give.
It's really, I mean, CJ is, I mean, he's won way more races than anybody else, right? But
statistically,
and just how he methodically sits behind somebody, picks them apart, lets them show, where they're going to make mistakes. And it's just crazy how he can see a track. I think CJ is so good that he makes really good racers look boring because he just makes it look so easy because I think he is that good. If Rob and Kyle, if Rob was in his prime, it's just, you'll never know, but sorry, I didn't put you first. I don't know what else to say. Number 5, I got Carl Rennesener.
Okay.
The reason Carl's 5th is again that he did both. Carl won. He was always a threat in Pro 2. He was always a threat in Pro 4 every race for a long time. Throughout, like when the series grew and it was at its pinnacle with Core, he was a threat in both classes every single day. And we raced against him in one class and he kicked everyone's ass most of the time, and it's like, you can't, that's the reason why he's there.
Yeah. Understandable.
And it's very hard for me to make these numbers.
I know it is. I think you have a book there. I think you have.
Yeah. I have other shit.
Yeah. But